Megan here, and today I want to bring you my August wrap-up. So, in August I read 5 books, which was a feat in itself with all the camping and traveling I did, and without taking a single vacation day from work. So, I'm impressed with myself. Yay. Okay, so let's jump right into it. The first book that I finished in August, I finished on August 2nd, and it was Betsy's Wedding. Now, I finished Betsy's Wedding right after I finished Betsy and the Great World. Betsy and the Great World ended so beautifully, I jumped right into Betsy's Wedding. And I have videos on both those books. I'll link them below, or one of them below, depending on what I feel like. Next, I read Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Sea of Monsters. This is such a fun book. This really helped me. I actually ended up in the hospital for, well, not that long, just part of one day. I'm totally okay, everything's fine, but I was extremely uncomfortable and I was just about going crazy. It was terrible. So I brought this book with me and I read it, and it actually managed to get my mind off what I was going through, and it helped me and it made the hours go by a little faster. So that's impressive. I was like, it's a good thing I don't have like one of my classics or one of my, nonfiction books that just takes a little more work to be engaged. This engaged me. It pulled me in. Rick Riordan just understands kids. He was a teacher before he was a writer, and he is just great at understanding kids. He understands his audience. He understands who he's writing about. His chapter titles are hilarious. I love how he takes these Greek myths and like makes them work in our modern times. Like he just like kind of twists the Greek myths into being completely modern. So I loved it. And now me and Sarah Hannett, and Naomi from Naomi's Bookshelf are buddy reading the series together, so we have now started book 3. Okay, next up, I read All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. This is a sad book. It is really sad, and obviously it's World War II fiction. Of course it's going to be sad, but for some reason, I found this sadder than a lot of other World War II fiction books or World War II nonfiction books I've read. It was just particularly sad to me with what was going on, and I felt like the ending dragged out a little bit. Like it should have just ended instead of jumping forward in time and showing in the future. It was just like, no, you're slowing it down. I want the immediacy of the initial story. I want to stay in that. So, I still loved it though. I loved the characters. I loved how things were more complex. It wasn't black and white. It was like, it's not like the Germans were bad. It's like, no, like they were real people, and some of them were doing very problematic things, but you still see where they're coming from. So I liked that. Okay, next I read, I'm going to show you this cover and it looks terrible. I even dreamed last night that I found a book of like a copy of this with a better cover, but I'm going to show it to you anyway. I read Christie by Catherine Marshall. Great book, terrible cover. Ignore the cover, it's a great book. So I buddy read this with Kate Howe. It was my first buddy read with a YouTuber, and it was great. I loved like digging in with Kate Howe. It was so fun, so thank you, Kate. It was so good. It's about this 19-year-old girl. She lives in Asheville, in North Carolina, South Carolina. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure which one. And she decides to go and be a teacher for an underprivileged group of people in Tennessee. And she goes and it's just so good. She faces a lot of danger, like it's dangerous and scary sometimes, like the way there's a lot of violence, and but it's not gratuitous violence at all. But it's not like a sweet cheesy little book. It's scary, but it's also really good. Like the character development is so good. I love discussing with Kate the spiritual aspects of it, because she's a missionary. She's doing this as a mission, and really digging into our faith and why do we believe what we believe, and like what do we actually believe. I thought that was really cool. So loved this. The romance in it was really good too. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Maybe one of my favorite books of 2019. So good. Now I'm going to show you the book that I'm actually still reading. I haven't finished it yet, but I will finish it very soon. I am reading Lady Catherine and the Real Downton Abbey. Now, I am reading this in preparation for the Downton Abbey movie that's coming out on September 19th, I think. I am so excited. I'm a huge Downton Abbey fan. Loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, and still do, obviously. So I really hope the movie is good and that they don't wreck how season 6 ended. But yeah, this book is about Lady Catherine and her life at Highclere Castle, which is where Downton Abbey is filmed. This is really fun. I mean, fun. So it takes place, I think, right after World War I ends, and I'm not sure when it goes up to because I'm not quite finished it. But it's really interesting because I love World War I and II history and the interwar years. Like, it's such an interesting time, and it's such an interesting time for the British aristocracy and nobility. So I read some Goodreads reviews on this book, and a lot of people were like, this isn't historically accurate, and they listed some details that weren't historically accurate. So the way I looked at this when I started reading it was, this is a fun fictional book. It's a story, and there might be some things that are wrong in it, but I'm going to enjoy it. So that's what I've been doing. I've been taking everything with a grain of salt, being like, okay, this might not be completely true, but I'm just reading it like a fictional book. I think a lot of it is like, I think it's just those nitpicky things that weren't accurate. I think overall it is quite accurate. And it is written by the current Countess of Carnarvon. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. So this woman on the front is her grandmother, who she's writing about, Lady Catherine. So, love that. Now, I did miss mentioning one book. It was an audiobook, so that's why I forgot to talk about it. I read Maisie Dobbs' Birds of a Feather, so that's the second Maisie Dobbs book. So good! I love the Maisie Dobbs series. Once again, it's interwar years. A lot of it is tragic because obviously the war was tragic, but such good stories. I love the complexity dealing with the aftermath of World War I and heading into World War II. I love the mystery. It's not too scary. I'm kind of a scaredy cat. It's not too scary for me. And it really just explores, like, yeah, the PTSD that people went through, the fear that they went through, how even years later World War I is affecting them today. So yeah, I loved it. So I had a pretty good reading month. I'm excited for September with ShakeTube and everything. So yeah, that's all for now. But until next time, may you all be filled with peace, hope, love, and joy. So take care, everyone. Bye.